G'day everyone, welcome to Chris Rankin's Music Crush. Just a listening update, just stuff from my archives. Nothing new to show, waiting for some new things to arrive, and so nothing really new to show. A whole lot of new releases. What a week it was, Friday. Wow, just incredible list, just an amazing list of top quality albums released. The new Bloodbound album, unbelievable. One of the best power metal, heavy metal albums of the year for sure. The new Burning Witches album, brilliant stuff. They're back again with another cracker album. VOLA, brand new album by them, which is fantastic. Adarrak, death metal band from Singapore, with a brand new album out. So many great albums. I'll put them all in the description below so you can check them out. I usually put a little description next to them what genre they are, so if you like that sub-genre of metal you can check it out. But yeah, just an absolutely top quality list. Ghastly have a new album out. Their album from the 2018 and 2019 was one of the best of the year. Death metal band, so good. Yeah, just amazing albums this week. I just couldn't believe everyone I was listening. Oh, I've got to put that on the list. Yeah, I've got to put that one on the list. Oh, that one on the list. Just, it's amazing how it turns out. You get some Fridays where, yeah, it's not bad. There's some okay ones, some pretty good ones. And then other Fridays, you just get so much great stuff. So yeah, really good week of new releases. Check them out. There's always some good stuff. Expand your horizons, everybody. Keep searching like me for that. Your next favourite album. They're always there, they're always getting released just around the corner. But today is just a little bit of stuff from my archives that I've been listening to, a little bit of everything today. Got some art rock, blues rock, some death metal, really extreme stuff, some of my all-time favourites, some classic heavy metal, and I think one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time too. So we'll get into it. So first up, I've talked a little bit about this band. I will do a discography of their video of theirs soon. Just trying to get the time to do all these, and I'm trying to keep the listening videos up as much as I can. That's good. So when I get time to do bigger videos, then I can do the discography ones. But I've been listening to this. I've talked about this band a fair bit. Cattle Decapitation from San Diego. This is my favourite album of theirs. This is, I think, one of the greatest extreme metal albums of all time. Absolutely magnificent. The album cover should let you know pretty much of how awesome this is going to be. Of course, they're from San Diego. This is their... it's so small there. I'm going to say 2012 from memory. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I was going to look on the back, but it's so small. 2012, this would be their 7th album. Everything about this album I absolutely love. Yes, it's extreme, yes, but it's not brutal for brutal's sake. Everything makes sense, everything is where it should be. And for such an extreme death metal album, it is so catchy. It is ridiculously catchy. Of course, Travis Ryan, varying his vocal growls, he never just does the same thing. I think he's probably one of the most talented extreme metal vocalists there is. The song A Living, Breathing Piece of Defecating Meat is one of my favourite metal songs of all time. It is unreal, it is heavy, there's a riff in there that blows me away every time. It's just so good. It's a real yeah sort of moment. With a really catchy chorus. It's almost a growl sing the way he does the chorus, and the chorus has got a massive hook in it that you'll be singing at the grocery store the next day. Gristle Liquor, one of the best with that opening riff, opening speedy, angular riff, incredible. Kingdom of Tyrants, brilliant of course with that incredible music video that certainly isn't for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. And just so many good songs on here. Every single song on here is brilliant. They are amazing live, one of the best bands I've ever seen live. I've seen them twice now. Travis Ryan is magnificent, and like I always say, the world's angriest vegans for sure. So if you don't know this band, don't get the name of the band wrong, and it's what a lot of their lyrics and a lot of their songs, especially the earlier stuff, is all about about animals being at the top and humans being at the bottom. They're very anti all sorts of wrongs and cruelty and anything that goes against animals and so forth. A lot of their music videos, they show that humans being treated like animals and vice versa, sort of thing. Incredible bands. Their recent 2 albums have been a little bit more centered on the environment and pollution and so forth and things like that. But I cannot rate this album highly enough. It is definitely one of the best death metal albums ever made. So good. Now, I was watching Darcy Six Strings the other day, one of his videos, one where he got a whole bunch of VCLT, and he says he likes to dabble in death metal a little bit, and as you know by me, yeah, I pretty much wallow in death metal. I'm in there a lot, and he showed this album that he got from in that pack. He didn't really know so much about it. Decapitated are one of my favourite bands of all time, especially those first 4 albums. They are just brilliant. This is, I know Winds of Creation is a lot of people's favourites, and it's probably equal favourite with this one. Winds of Creation is a landmark technical death metal album that the band made when they were between the ages of 15 and 17. It's ridiculous they can make such a complex, brutal death metal album when they were so young. But this is their 4th album. This came out in 2006, Organic Hallucinosis. I pulled this out of the rack because I saw Darcy receive this, and I thought, yeah, any excuse to pull this out and listen to. There's a song on here called Post Organic. It's one of my favourite songs of all time, any genre. It's just unreal. The speed of it, the riff, it's just an oral assault, an absolute assault, and it just gets you moving, there's no doubt about it. A poem about an old prison man, brilliant song, and then Day 69 with that foghorn from hell, just so good. I've seen this band excellent live, although my only complaint was that set that I saw them, they were doing a lot of their newer stuff, and a lot of their newer stuff has become a little bit sort of generic groove metal. I'm not as much into some okay stuff. This was their last great album. Unfortunately, after they made this album, they were involved in a really bad traffic accident. Their drummer VTech, their amazing stud of a drummer VTech, unfortunately died in that accident, and he was one of the driving forces behind this band and the writing. And Kayvan, the vocalist for this album, was severely injured to the point where he could no longer be part of the band. So that was a bit of a shame, because their first 4 albums, they were really riding high and kind of doing anything they wanted, and everything they made was absolute quality. And after that, it was a bit of a fork in the road for the band, and they sort of, I felt like they never quite got back to this. They became quite commercial in their sound, you know, a little bit sort of Machine Head, Lamb of God sort of sound, quite sort of Main Street commercial, melodic death metal, groove death metal sort of thing. Still good, still fairly listenable. I certainly wouldn't turn it off, but and I bought Blood Mantra, not the last album, but the one before, and I rarely play it. It was okay, I enjoyed listening to it at the time, but I rarely pull it out. But the first 4 I have and play all the time. Outstanding technical death metal from Poland, and of course Poland, just one of the greatest countries for producing metal, especially extreme metal. Just magnificent, so good. I'm getting some ZZ Top on. ZZ Top's never too far away with the De Huejo album. And you know what? I've just noticed something, and I didn't do this on purpose. But these first 3 albums actually have something in common. I wonder if you can spot it. Yeah, I'll let you know. You don't have to guess too much. So, now my Spanish isn't great, but I believe that means decapitation or decapitated. And of course, the first album was Cattle Decapitation, and then the next band was Decapitated, and then this as well. So there you go. I didn't even notice that. It's just how random's that. But of course, this is their 1979 album. Now this, along with Tres Hombres, they were my first two ZZ Top albums I heard. Remember, you used to get those cassettes that had the 2-in-1. They would quite often do it to help you introduce an older album coming out with a new album. And I bought that. It was one of the very first albums I bought. Obviously, Iron Maiden Killers was the first one I bought on cassette in 1981. But that was not long after that I bought this. I loved the cover, and it was a 2-in-1. So it was this and Tres Hombres. And it's funny, even though El Loco came out in 81, I actually bought this on cassette in that double cassette in 1981, and then I think I actually heard Eliminator next and bought Eliminator on record next, and then heard El Loco. I still don't have a physical copy of El Loco, but I've obviously heard it. But this is a great album, very bluesy. This was their comeback, of course, after they had that hiatus and they all sort of went off and did other things for a little while. Very, very bluesy. Of course, they're a blues rock band, but yeah, this one, not so. A lot less of, I think, a lot less of the hard rock and the boogie rock. This one is, well, there is boogie actually. Now that I think about it, because A Fool for Your Stockings kind of is as well. Manic Mechanic was quite weird at the time for them, but my favourites on this. Fool for Your Stockings, absolutely love that song. Low Down in the Street is probably my favourite song on here. I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide, I think was a single off this. And Cheap Sunglasses, I'm pretty sure was a single off this. Really, really good album. Really good. Love this a lot. Let's face it, there's no bad ZZ Top album, is there? Sax, there's the back of the inner label. Brilliant. Yeah, 1979. Such a good album. Really, really enjoy this. Funny with the ZZ Top albums, they're kind of hit or miss. There are some of their albums that have some of the best artwork ever, and there's others that there's really nothing done at all. But that's certainly one of the best ones. So good. You know, when you're a kid in 1981 and you see that cover, yes, it was on a cassette, but when you see that cover, pretty hard for me to resist that. So this is where I started with ZZ Top, and although it's it maybe be 5th or 6th as my favourite ZZ Top album. It's still very dear to me because it's the first thing I heard them of. So really, really good. A little bit of extreme metal from Taiwan. Love this band, great band. If you don't know about them, they are huge, especially in Taiwan and in parts of China and Southeast Asia, but they are huge, really big, well-known band. The name of the band is called Chonic. It's actually spelled Chthonic, but it's pronounced Chonic. This album is Boutique. This is their, well, I'm going to say 7th album, but that's a little bit misleading because quite a lot of their albums, they put out an English version and then a Taiwanese lyric version. And I can't remember how many of them have both, but as far as I remember, this is the 7th in that lineage anyway. So it's 2013, definitely my favourite of theirs. Kind of a cross between melodic death metal, melodic black metal, although the black metal isn't in there much. It's only really the vocals at times. It's really good, straight up melodic death metal. Some cracker riffs. I mean, really, really good riffs. The guitars always sound so good on this. But they also mix in a lot of Taiwanese traditional folk music in there. There's a traditional instrument called the erhu that they use quite a lot in all their music. You hear it quite a bit. They don't wear corpse paint. They wear this stuff that they call it ghost paint. And like characters, as if they're like, what's the best way to, not superheroes, but like medieval heroes fighting sort of thing. They're quite elaborate, the way they look. They dress up a bit on stage as well. And then you have some nice background, like choir vocals at times, from Lynn and Doris as well, which gives it a really interesting flavour. And this album is fantastic. I love this. Supreme Pain for the Tyrant is one of my favourite songs. It's definitely my favourite song on here. And there's a riff that cuts in at about the 55-second mark, and it's just killer. So good. What else? Sail Into the Sunset's Fire, brilliant song. Between Silence and Death, magnificent song. And Defenders of Boutique Palace, so good. There's a lot more of their stuff. They've got a lot of albums. From memory, they've got about 12, 13, 14 albums. And I'd love to get more of this stuff. This is the only thing I have of theirs. This was one of my favourite albums of 2013. Such a great, great album. So yeah. Chthonic, so good. If you don't know them, you've never heard of them, please check them out, because you'll find all their stuff on YouTube if you want to check out. But yeah, that song Supreme Pain for the Tyrant, if you want to check out anything of theirs, I'd check out that. It's so good, really, really good. So I talked about some art rock, and I've been spinning this. Some of you may know this. I don't see them shown that much in the VC. The band is Sparks from California. Very interesting band. Art rock is probably the best way to describe them. I've seen them called glam rock, progressive pop. Really quirky, really interesting, quite avant-garde as well in their approach. Expect the unexpected, but still some good rockin' guitars and very catchy stuff. Very, very hooky, catchy stuff. This, of course, is their fourth album. Came out in 1974, called Propaganda. On Island Records, there's the back cover. I'm always on the lookout for Kimono My House, which was the album just before this. But I do like this one just a little bit better than Kimono My House, but I don't have a physical copy of that, which I'd love. Always on the lookout. Favourite songs on here are At Home. What's it called? At Home, At Work, At Play. They don't have the actual song titles in the back, so I've got to remember them. Reinforcements. Don't Leave Me Alone With Her is another favourite on here. And the last track on side 2, Bon Voyage, really good. But at Home, At Work, At Play is the best. And if you've never heard Sparks and you've never heard any of this album, check out that. Sparks, At Home, At Work, At Play. Great song, good rockin' guitars, a little bit quirky, and just a brilliant album. A highly underrated band that put out a lot of albums and just a unique sound. They don't sound like anyone else, and yeah, really cool stuff. So yeah, check them out. Had on a little bit of Uriah Heep. Return to Fantasy, 1979. Of course, their 8th album. And we're starting to get to the end with this one. But I do like Abominog. I like Abominog a lot, and I like Firefly a lot. But you're getting hit and misses in between those now. But this is, I think, sort of signals the end of that really great run that they had leading up to this one. So those first, including this, the first 8 albums are just magnificent. Really, really good album, this. Of course, this album, you've got, there's all the lineup there. You've got David Byron, Mick Box, Ken Hensley, Lee Kerslake, and John Wetton as well. Brilliant. I love this. Favourite songs on this will be Devil's Daughter. I think one of the best Uriah Heep songs of all time. Beautiful Dream. Really a lot of organs and keyboards and everything in that song. So good. Showdown, great song. Quite heavy too. And A Year or a Day. They're probably favourites on here. But Devil's Daughter is probably the most heavy metal song on the whole album. Really good guitars. It's got a really big long instrumental section at the end with all the guitars going wild and the drums and everything. But a really good album, and you know, not quite often highlighted as much as some of the big well-known classics of Uriah Heep. And yeah, it was kind of, after this, they not quite as automatic that the album was going to be great. As I say, I love Firefly, and I think that Abominog is really good, although it's a little bit different, but I still actually quite like Abominog. But yeah, Uriah Heep, Return to Fantasy, great album. And I talked about, in the intro leading in, one of my favourite hip-hop albums of all time. I think one of the best ever, no doubt about it. Those of you who know this album, I probably don't even need to say anything about it. I just show the cover, and you all know how absolutely stunning this album is. And it's his debut. This was, of course, Nas's debut, Illmatic. If you don't know anything about this album, I highly recommend you check it out as soon as you possibly can. It is, I still remember when this came out in '94, just, you know, and sort of 85 to 95, I was very much into hip-hop a lot. I still love it a lot, and I still play it a lot, but that age, that 10 years there, was some of the best. And then this came out in '94, and it felt like it just swept the floor clean with everything. Just incredible. New York State of Mind, wow. Halftime, so good. Halftime, funny, New York State of Mind and Life's a Bitch are probably the big sort of famous songs on here, I guess, in some ways, but I don't know, I think Halftime might be my favourite on this. Memory Lane, so good. And Represent is a fantastic song, but everything on here is so good. His rapping and his lyrics and his cadence and his timing and his just everything, and the hooks and the producing and everything is just, I think this is a flawless hip-hop album, in my opinion. Absolute perfection, and one of the best pieces of music ever made. So look, there we go. That's just a bit of a thing of what I've been listening to, and the new releases for this week. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate anyone who watches and subscribes. It means a lot to me. I'm very passionate about music. I love music very much. And the main thing is I just love to share it with all you guys and girls. That's very important to me. I do it on my big metal page, Headbangers. I'm always sharing as much new music on there as I can every week. I'm up to 231 albums now that I love of the year. I've listened to a little bit over 400 new releases of metal albums this year, so I'm always constantly just listening to music and getting it out there. It's very important to me. Expand your horizon, everyone. It's very important. Don't listen to the same 20 bands that you've always grown up with. You never know which of your favourite next albums is just around the corner. But thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all soon.